Hi, I'm Keith Arton, and I'd like to tell you about the place that I choose to call home. On September 6, 1996, Hurricane Fran made landfall in North Carolina, made its way through the state, leaving behind it a path of destruction. Durham, the surrounding Research Triangle region, were directly in its path. In the neighborhood of Old North Durham, fallen trees and large limbs were everywhere. Neighbors helped neighbors, including a large group of more than 80 recovering substance abusers and ex-offenders. They rolled up their sleeves and worked side by side with people that might have been leery of their presence in the community in the days before the storm brought everyone together. They volunteered because the organization they were a part of believed that helping others can help those seeking to overcome addiction. And it's also the right thing to do. That organization, known as TROSA, had opened its doors less than 2 years earlier. And helping its neighbors has always been one of the keys to TROSA's success. So what exactly is TROSA? Triangle Residential Options for Substance Abusers, or TROSA, is an innovative, multi-year residential program that combines comprehensive treatment, work-based vocational training, education, and continuing care for people who are struggling with substance use disorder. Or put more simply, we're a long-term residential drug rehab. But we believe it's important to be a lot more than that. Kevin McDonald founded TROSA in 1994 after spending more than 12 years in a long-term residential treatment program. While he was there, he took note of the things that were really working and changing his life, and the things that he might change if he was given the opportunity. He decided at that point to make it his life's mission to help others. So he relocated from California to Durham, North Carolina, with nothing but an old abandoned elementary school and $18,000 that had been raised to start a new program. I met Kevin by chance about 7 years after that. I was just so overwhelmed and taken by what he was doing and the person that he was that I asked if I could work with him. I'd spent my life up to that point working in investment banking, startups, and I just made a decision to make a change. And 17 years later, I'm really thankful that I did that. Now, most of you are probably well aware of the drug crisis we're facing here in America. 1 in 3 opioid prescriptions is currently being abused in America today. In North Carolina, in the town of Wilmington, over half of those prescriptions are used for something other than their prescribed purpose. And the cost of this is staggering, estimated at well over $400 billion a year in costs related to crime, lost work, and healthcare. And the cost in human life is far more staggering. In 2016, more people died due to overdose than US military members died in the entire Vietnam War. So maybe it's easy enough to understand why we'd want to do this, but how we do it is what makes TROSA so unique. Now, we're a very complex program, and I can't get into all of the aspects of it, but I'm going to focus on 3 things. First, we employ a work-based vocational model. We believe that employment and meaningful work and the responsibilities and confidence that come with that are a key to behavioral change and recovery. Second, services provided at no cost to the individual. A person can literally come to TROSA with nothing but the clothes on their back. We want to eliminate all economic barriers to treatment. Finally, participation in TROSA is voluntary. No one is ever sentenced to TROSA or forced to come against their will, and they're free to leave at any time. They need to know that staying is their decision to make, but in doing so, they can have the change that they're seeking. Now, I'm not going to tell you this is an easy program, but people come to TROSA for a lot more than sobriety. With complexities such as probation, a criminal background, unemployment, mental illness, among the most common. Over their 2 years at TROSA, they'll focus on building the skills that they need for a sober and fulfilling life. So, does TROSA work? Well, When people come to TROSA, less than 10% have what would be considered stable housing. 1 year after graduating, over 90% had stable housing. Over 95% were still sober, and over 90% had full-time employment. And consider that typical person coming out of the prison system within 3 years has a 65% chance of being rearrested. For TROSA graduates, that chance drops to under 5%. When we doubled the capacity of our largest campus in 2013, we brought 50 probationers to a neighborhood and crime dropped. Thanks. Now, at the core of TROSA is this concept of community. And over the years, we've become an integral part of the local Durham community. And when we volunteered and helped during Hurricane Fran, that wasn't some isolated incident. That's an example of the kind of thing we're doing all the time. And we're not some isolated, walled-off housing complex, but an active, engaged member of the community. Volunteered over 2,000 hours last year alone. So what do we do next? Where are we and where are we going? Well, last year, we served over 900 people. But we want to help more. We think the best way to do this is to open TROSAs in new communities. And years ago, really until recently, people would come to see what we're doing, but most people were really reluctant to start something like TROSA in their community for a lot of the old reasons that people might worry about programs like ours. But lately, we've been getting a lot of people who are actively engaging us. In fact, I was just in a meeting in the last month or two with a large city in North Carolina, and one of the city councilmen's first questions was, what do we need to do to convince TROSA to come to our town? It appears we don't need a hurricane for people to want us in their backyard today. Thank you.